Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here with us. And for those who will be watching us on replay, good morning or good evening from whichever time zone you are. And for those who doesn't know me yet, my name is Marylen. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS, and we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating customized programs with the help of our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, and that includes Petronas, Sony Mobile, ProLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. Experts say that the pandemic will last for the next 3 to 5 years. And this is why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt to the new normal, those who find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of a remote team, and for those who are actually afraid that they can't keep their team and businesses. So to be able to stay relevant, to continue to lead effectively in any situation, and we hope we can be of help or inspire you to do so. And today, it's my great pleasure to introduce our leader for today. Gerald Ong is a speaker, ACTA certified trainer, remarkable facilitator and train facilitator for Lego Serious Play, his method and materials. Sorry, he facilitates workshops to help individuals discover themselves and build teams together by playing Lego bricks. And he has over 3 years of corporate sales, providing products and services to the B2B and B2C clients. And since joining learning and development sector in 2017, he has been conducting training in the areas of goal setting, design thinking, creativity and innovation, team building, and self discovery. And the largest team building event he has facilitated has like 100 people. To a division within an institute of higher learning. So without so much further ado, I'd like to invite Gerald. Hi,
Hi,
Gerald. How are
hi,
you?
Marylen. Hello. Hi, everyone watching in live. Yeah, pardon my messy backdrop. Yeah, that's my green screen covering my mess behind.
No worries, no worries. The important thing is really all about the message that you will share with us. Hopefully, we can inspire people who's listening or even going to watch our this live session, or if not live, at least the replay that we're sharing in different platforms. So I hope we can inspire more people to to lead effectively in any situation, right? So, having said that, I'd like to start by, the first three question, in fact, that I'll be asking you is more towards understanding from which perspective you're coming from. And I would say the juicy or meaty part of this conversation would be the 4 to 6 question. And it's going to be your chance to answer the two Miss Universe questions on the 7 and 8 questions. So let's jump right through the questions or the discussion. Yeah. So please do share with us your leadership experiences and influencers. If you have like a favorite leadership style that you'd like to share with us, or an experience with previous employment or a business that you've run, and if you have like influencers whom you look up to and reason why you're doing what you're doing right now, feel free to share with us.
Yeah, that's a nice question. Leadership experience. I think I hadn't had much leadership, but I've been Toastmasters for more than a decade already. I think I'm reaching my
Oh, wow.
16 years. Yeah, so I hold many leadership roles. That is in the non-profit sense. That is kind of what I went through pretty much. And recently, last week, I was elected as the honorary Hon Assistant General Secretary for a society, because I think they
Mhm.
see my admin work is very strong. I'm very fussy, so that's my champion area. Leadership style and influencers, not much, but grateful that to have Eric Feng. He's one of my persons I follow because I worked with him in the past. So he had evolved himself from a presentation skills trainer to a social media influencer. Really interesting way of how he does it and his
Mhm.
transformation. He's one of the coolest guy because I worked with
Mhm.
him I think as far as 10 or 13 years back. Yeah, I still have some of his books. So that is one of them. There are a few many others that have been influencing me. You have Credential, one of the top corporate HR persons. She's also quite good. So she used
Mhm.
a HR perspective to coach and to influence online media. And coincidentally, the person coaching her happened to be another friend of mine. So was very good professional speaker. I see how he uses his social media, and that's one of the way how I try to involve my social media from time to time.
Mhm.
So that is kind of the few experiences I got. But nowadays, my current leadership experience is now I'm leading the pack in
Mhm.
Lego, usually known as the
Mhm.
Lego man, sometimes oblique uncle, depending on which definition you are connected to me in which circle. Because there is a certain way how I connect with different people through a natural filter system, and that's how my leadership is all being filtered. So I'll
Mhm.
filter you in my conversation. I'll filter you in certain way that people will communicate with me interesting way. So that's why
Mhm.
my branding is split is a micro branding split to enable me to okay, I know you this group, you through this particular group. It's part of my branding that I did a micro filter there. So that's
Mhm.
how I keep my things organized. And yeah, of course, another than our community of learning Kampong Chief is also another leader that I'm following. Pretty
Mhm.
good in terms of community leading, how you lead your community, how you get your stuff organized. So I went
Mhm.
through I think 3 months of mentorship with him at Institute of Adult Learning. Pretty good guy. He keep things super organized.
Mhm.
Presentations is also very neat. So that impressed me and that influenced my way. Okay, I should champion the pack in such a way. So I'm championing the pack in research. So
Mhm.
I'll do my own writings, my own papers from time to time. Now I publish quite
Mhm.
often in Medium, so that is where I share my thoughts, my leading thoughts lah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
due to
Mhm.
insane schedules, hardly have time to write nowadays.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing with us your experience in terms of leading and knowing how to which I would say that from what you've shared is that you're very self-aware in such a way, and a continuous learner at the same time based on what you've shared, because you like working within communities, and at the same time you want to have it organized and very detailed, which is quite similar to what I do as well. A lot of research and detailed organizing similar things, or organizing things. And I really like. I mean, for everyone's knowledge, right? We've actually worked together with a group of trainers as well, where I actually demonstrated the gamification, and Gerald is really like on top of it. He's helping me like on the things I need to prepare, and we even have like a checkout, or like a check-in, I mean, before we even like do the program. So yeah, thank you for sharing. And again, as a leader, you must have like attention to details, and know how to plan and organize things as well, right? I mean, even if you don't have to do that all the time, but of course, these are things that will be handy in leading a team, right? Or building a community, like what Gerald here is doing. And before I proceed to the next question, I just want to say hi to Alicia. She said, "Hi, Marylen. Great to see you and your guest. It's our pleasure to be here and to be seen, and hopefully we can inspire more leaders that are listening to us today." So that I've asked your experience, your influencers earlier, and so having said that, what is leadership for you?
Leadership is all about strategic leadership so far. My
Mhm.
way of doing things is all strategic because of my Clifton strength. So I went through a crazy self-discovery journey on my own in 2019. So that got me thinking, what should I be doing? So I went around, I do my DIs, this test, I went to do my MBTI test, I went to do my
Mhm.
Clifton test, then ask a few coaches here and there. So I narrowed down my niche area. So my leadership now is I make sure to do everything with a strategic plan. So
Mhm.
everything on my strategy. So that's my way of working. So half
Mhm.
the time I will have coaches uh, engaging me for strategic discussion usually over an ice cream or coffee or just tea. So it's like this way. Alcohol alcohol, that's usually at night. So it depends on the time of the year that we meet up. So, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I got some ideas through some of the drinking sessions. Usually, that's how I do my way of business. And leadership is leading things in a unique way where you can offer a solution. So my personal solution that I always offer is always a very small niche group of
Mm-hmm.
Lego team building, Lego self discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Even in September, actually, I wanted to do it face to face, but
Mm-hmm.
because of the sign up rate of 37 packs, I'm forced to deliver it in a Zoom environment. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the part. That's the tricky situation that I'm facing during at the peak of the pandemic, and that was before my my freelance teaching got shut down for another 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So inadvertently, I got my early birthday week rest in advance. No choice. I have no choice because of the change of the pandemic. I'm forced
Mm-hmm.
to react in a different way of how I lead my things in. So, for example, if I have a class cancellation like this week, I got another class cancellation again. I sign up for my another course to take and upgrade again. It's either a refresher course or whether it's a new course that I will need to take up. I'm missing out. It's on my wish list. There's always a
Mm-hmm.
wish list that I will adhere to lah. And that's how I will define how things are moving in this new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough. Mm.
Yes. So from what I get from you, I hope I've actually summarized it well. That leadership is strategic and leading things no matter the situation is. And again, like what you've said, there are things that are out of our control, right? Like the pandemic that you've shared that with that we have to like adapt to pivot or to stay relevant by like doing something that would help us, right, to like change the situation or like continue to serve others despite of what's happening around us, right? And having said that, I mean, there were a lot of changes you made mention about the pandemic, and even in my introduction I also like make mention like the challenges that was brought about by the pandemic, and so that leads me to my next question. Having said that, how would you define or describe the next normal?
Mm, the next normal will be pretty interesting. I foresee a new trend where I'm doing very small group coaching or small group team
Mm-hmm.
strategic planning. I foresee that kind of workshops coming up soon in a community-based environment.
Mm-hmm.
So even nowadays, I'm trying to put my bricks in a virtual environment. I will still give you the physical bricks, but you will submit the,
Mm-hmm.
the workbook and everything in the virtual form. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating these few virtual forms of Lego Serious Play. You still have the physical bricks still being sent to you. No matter
Mm-hmm.
which part of the world, I will try to make sure the bricks reach you or my
Mm-hmm.
other community of facilitators in other countries would support you. Because Lego Serious Play is very good. We have a very unique community, and what define the new normal is now about sharing. Every year, if I without fear, if I have the chance, I will try to attend the global conference. If not, I will look at the conference notes from the various speakers. So last year I haven't been proud to share in the Singapore community how we got together, pre-pandemic, how we lead the community to introduce the method. So that's a way that how things are leading. Like me, I'm leading the new normal in
Mm-hmm.
more of trying to do a very niche way development in the midst of transitioning into a social enterprise model. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I working since my last year, not my last year, I think my last week talk or a couple of weeks back, I did a talk on human potential. So
Mm-hmm.
that is where all my member organizations are in, and I'm supporting them to provide these kind of workshops in such a way that you'll see that things will get coming, and it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting because every environment is changing. You never know. Like myself, I'm thinking if my class is cancelled, what's the next course I sign up for? I have to plan like 3 steps ahead, or even 6 steps ahead. Sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
gotta go further. I've seen so many cases where people are thinking in too short term, and it leads to lots of confusion and sometimes the uncertainty. Even this interview has so much uncertainty whether you can make it, but I told myself I will make the timing to catch it. We started a bit late, but we make it happen. That's my rule of thumb because I'll
Yes.
force myself to do it. So that's how the new normal is. Sometimes you have to work late. I think there are some nights when I'm not in
Mm-hmm.
teaching mode. I will
Mm-hmm.
go work until 2 a.m. in the morning sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But traditionally now, because of I found that the golden sleeping hour is now between 10 to 2, so I need
Mm-hmm.
to sleep a clock. So now it's trying to switch the working hours a little bit. Takes a while because
Yes.
now in the pandemic we are now being faced, we have to do our own self responsibility, leading communities together, and that's the new normal that I see. And
Mhm.
of course everybody becomes their own specialist already. So I foresee more micro enterprise coming up again. And recently the news has came up that in the parliament debate
Mhm.
they say there's more companies being set up than more company being closed in the crisis. In this
Wow,
pandemic
that's
I already,
amazing.
yeah, in this pandemic itself, interestingly enough, I already took on quite a few major things already in terms of directorships and a few other things, a few other setups I'm involved. So it's pretty interesting in this pandemic. In the traditional pre-pandemic, I wouldn't get it, but because
Yes.
of the way my branding is done, so some to those who are curious, how do I define the new normal? Being personalized, being more like polyglot, but not so polyglot. Right? I say that means you speak a little bit of the language, but I can understand. So
Mhm.
that's how you get some of the names that you see on my LinkedIn. If you happen to find me on my LinkedIn, I have my name
Mhm.
translated in 7 different languages. Partly
Mm.
because of to cover to different market. PT are not translated to Tagalog yet. That's another language I'm working towards that market. So that's kind of few languages I'm working towards. So that's the new normal. It's got being personalized and all that. And pre-pandemic, I always believe in doing things very personal. So I ever attempted in delivering a presentation with my slides in dual
Mhm.
language, written in dual language,
Mhm.
and it really shocked the call out of everybody. But because I know the game, I played the game well enough, so it takes a years of the new normal involved taking years of research. As always, I'm
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
deciding making the best move. So
Mhm.
my personal best move in the new normal for myself is if I can get on something that I can work on,
Mhm.
I work on. So recently, some of you might have posted. I recently shared on my LinkedIn. I took a forklift license. Yes, some of you are wondering how come
Mhm.
I took the forklift license. Yes, because it's a mandatory skill and I'm training this subject. So I have no choice. I have to take it. So that's how the power of connections. And true enough, in an interesting way, I met my university classmate there. Yeah, in that training center where I went to. So pretty cool. So that's the kind of friends you get in the new normal. You bump into many people. Ever
Mhm.
since I started L&D plus my insurance career, 2 years of that, you factor that in. So that's nearly 7+ years already. I mean, 5, 7+ years. That has given me enough age in working on different things, in figuring out what's the best solution. So you want to get connection, I can get. Right? That's how, and you must stay connected. So that's
Mhm.
how. Talking about Marylen, the gamification webinar that I did. Yes, that's the new normal. It's all about seminar. It's all about group. And interestingly enough, the joke of all my new normal is now I'm doing all my sessions in small group
Mhm.
style. So
Mhm.
my group size will never exceed not more than 20 packs currently.
Mhm.
That's all my
Mhm.
sharings. So that is a new normal that I'm looking at.
Mhm.
We won't be looking at that big group facilitation where most of
Mhm.
the big speakers will do that. They have that area. I cover the more niche area. So you give me a thing that require me to strategize, to plan it, and even to me to craft it out the program. So that's the niche area that I'm personally seeing that trend that is coming.
Mhm.
Mm. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
Yes. Camera.
Yes. I love how you shared and how you took the pandemic into an opportunity for you, and that's a great reminder for everyone that there's a lot that we can do differently in this situation, right? We can always turn this into a positive outcome for us, right? And if I were just to choose like three things in what you've shared, and interesting enough for me is really more of how we have to be more flexible in this situation. That's the first one. The second one that I got from you is mainly more on like how can you actually personalize in a niche way. And number three is really building your network or your virtual environment, as it is right now, because as we know, like a lot of here in Singapore alone, the default still remains to be work from home, right? And so people are still working remotely, and even if they remove that restrictions in terms of working from home, just the same, like it will never be the same again, right? It's gonna be like, a hybrid now, where like people or companies have accepted that, you can actually work remotely, and you can perform, you can do things, even without, going to the office. Yeah, so
Mm.
that those are some of the realization, I would say, that has been brought about to us. And
And that's yeah, that's
mhm,
true. That's true because recently I have been asked to take a lot of virtual live classes because of this
mhm,
stabilization phase, and because of my strength in Zoom has been cultivated since the start of before the pandemic started. So that was it came in handy, right? I think it came
mhm,
in right handy in November 19. So when I was
mhm,
traveling, I was still on Zoom. So that's the kind of thing. I
yes.
started as early as October 19.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. That's great. So if you can share with us now, I mean, we've actually understood where you're coming from, what the principles that are you're working on as well, based on how you work. If you can share with us your experience, as a corporate leader and working with corporate leaders, what would you say would be the top three problems that they normally face?
Mm, Currently in this pandemic, top three problem is first encounter is you don't meet your team face to face now, so you
Mm-hmm.
need to think of a way how to keep your team virtually engaged. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
virtual solution that I already came up with. So that is
Mm-hmm.
a team values that I did for one of the company. They especially requested me to do that for them. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one way that you want to solve your team building problem. Second is you might see some micro enterprises forming.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm dealing with my inmates, I also facing the same problem at a similar site in the area. So I'm coming up with a social enterprise solution to solve this problem. Going for a grant, if I can solve it, it will be very interestingly enough. That
Mm-hmm.
that needs a lot of evidence. Singapore is a research-based country, so it's and scientific-based country. So that is
Mm-hmm.
the problem. We are all depending too much on science versus gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That is a common problem. Sometimes your gut feeling usually is very true, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
come I close out my sales deal. Sometimes it's the scientific, it doesn't make sense, but the gut feeling must tally with each other. The moment your gut feeling don't tally with your scientific evidence and your with the background check, the due diligence, you do the normal sales procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I see not following your gut feeling. That's also a second problem I tend to see at the higher level. But in the micro enterprises, we tend to think too much. At
Mm-hmm.
at even in Singapore, coming from doing 3 years of Lego Serious Play workshops, over the years, I've seen enough models, I think close to 300 over models,
Mm-hmm.
which I've seen too many models that are really way thinking, thought through too much. You're not letting the natural brain flow to come up with your own solutions and go with it. So like me, I tend to think too much until I got scolded by a good friend, by a close friend of mine, yes. I really got a very hard scolding from a friend. Since after that, I went with my own flow. I flow it well, but when I overthink again, I need that intervention sometimes. So you need to constantly get intervention by a personal friend to help you solve it. Other than
Mm-hmm.
that, otherwise you will face this. I personally face that will common problem soon. Really, we are thinking too much
Mm-hmm.
of the getting the best deal. Sometimes don't bother about getting the best deal. Just closing the first deal, a small deal
Mm-hmm.
is better than nothing. And that's how I built my references in my industry. And that's how I ventured overseas also, apart from my drinking session. But it's beyond the drinking session that I got certain things that not many can be reached.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty. And the third thing is the third problem that I see in corporate, right, is sometimes you don't even know what you want. You're lost. Sometimes there are too many L&D solution, intervention solutions. Like me, I already personally hold 3 different intervention solutions on my hand, and I need more. That's not enough. I don't have a psychometric solution to support. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
working towards doing a psychometric solution to take on to run the test. So if I don't have that test, I won't be able to offer more services. So it's working on my wish list. I started my writing my wish list early this week or last week. It's,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, because everything now has to be done in a Kanban system, which I believe, and we need to keep things simple. Even the rule of thumb is the common problem is we just need to keep things easy, keep things simple, and actually the problem will arise there. So I was grateful that last week I got a coaching by last Friday I got coaching by a fellow facilitator. I said, sis, I'm stuck. Can you help me out? Okay. So in a matter of 1 hour, we built 4 models and I got all my answers that I need.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a kind of community spirit that we are getting, and going the gut feeling, and through that coaching that she had with me was pretty good, and we
Mm-hmm.
really make through this journey of how we help one another, because I supply her the parts, so I got help from her in coaching. I said okay, so that's the kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing. So you reciprocate evenly. That's how you must try to face in the tight capital expenditure situation that everybody is now facing.
Mm-hmm.
So how that's how the only way we can solve. Of course, if we can do face to face, we try to do it. For business meetings, face to face, first meeting is always face to face. Subsequently, it's all Zoom meetings all the way. Under presently today, my own IAL mentor, I had not met him face to face for nearly 2 years already. But because we know each other, so it's okay. We can Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
Yeah.
thing. So how you manage the face to face and your Zoom. So that's the
Yes.
kind of
True.
balance that we need to manage as a corporate leader. Some people you need to meet face to face. Some people you don't need meet to face to face. So it's depending on how you close your deals accordingly.
And
Unless
it's interesting actually when you shared that, one of the problem is you don't even know what you want. And I have like similar experience, working with some potential clients where they don't even know like what they really want or what they really need within their organization, and they tend to like make use of training as like a quick fix, and yet and I've been receiving sometimes like we've done that kind of training in the past, but we didn't really get any results from it, right? And again, this is like learning is a continuous journey that you have to take, and at the same time you really have to take action to to get that result, right? Because knowledge is not is not enough. Having to know or understand things doesn't make or get you results. It's what you do next after what you've learned, right? That will really get you the result. And that leads me to my next question, actually. I mean, you've defined the problems that you faced or that leaders are facing right now, in terms of, not being able to work face to face or not following their gut feelings. That's very interesting as well, I would say. Like, and because like a lot of people who are in the professional world would always think like, oh, what's that? That's there are facts, there are frameworks, there are, they always follow those things. And yet, I mean, you are right about that, having to take gut feelings as well as consideration, and of course being clear on what you want, visioning it, and taking actions towards it, right? So having said that, I mean, we don't want to leave them with just the problem. So we've identified the problem, and now what, right? So what do you believe? I mean, you've been running programs, Lego Serious Play, and several programs in the leadership space as well. So what do you believe will be the important leadership capabilities or skills that you must have in this next normal to continue to lead effectively?
I'm thankful because of my development into leadership space. Recently got too many requests in my alumni society, so that got me thinking, and I was very happy that okay, coincidentally enough, I took Agile Leadership, my Scrum Alliance. I completed the 3 courses in a crazy, I think, 2 weeks window. But we need to go above the line sometimes. There's a thing called above the line, midline, and below the line. Same as six bricks facilitation. There's a midline, there's always a bottom line, there's a top line. So what do they mean? Are you ahead of on top of everything at the top of your line? See? Are you in the middle? Like in the middle of my face? Or are you at the tip of my face? At the bottom? So sometimes are you following the trends fast enough? At first, in the start of the pandemic, I wasn't fast enough. I was very slow because I was already on a progression. I was on a skills upgrading in the height of the pandemic. So certain things came in handy. I have my ACTA cert that saved myself in the last circuit breaker. This time around is now my forklift license will save me. I don't know what's the other cert is going to save me. But eventually, I will see that the important leadership skills that we need to have, right, is forward planning and of course strategic way of working. These are the general 2 skills I would say. Cause
Sorry, power planning, and I didn't get the
forward
other.
forward forward planning. Sorry, forward planning.
Forward planning. Okay.
Forward planning. You plan ahead. Uh, Forward planning. Then second point is you must be strategic in every move. So no matter what partnership, people can help me and work with me partnership, no problem. I can take in. But eventually, how often will I strategize it to a next level? So
Mm-hmm.
thanks to connection after connection, I now strategizing with a social aggregator at the moment. I'm in the midst of moving my office into that office
Mm-hmm.
into their space in the moment. Once I do my annual compliance requirements this
Mm-hmm.
year, by this year I need to do my filing already. Once I finish my filing, I'm officially moving in already to the new social aggregator space to
Mm-hmm.
support in the social space where I can provide the Lego in a different environment. Of course, they're keen for
Mm-hmm.
leadership, where I see that there is a new way to learning because now it's like very small niche group and very specialized skills coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So even you might see my profile, I have too many skills. Okay, I'm also fully Scrum trained methodology, but beyond the Scrum, I'm just using the Scrum for my own personal product
Mm-hmm.
management and product development. But if
Mm-hmm.
I scale up and have manpower under me, like fellow trainers partnering with me, that then will come the other elements of Scrum coming into play.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, some of the element of Scrum already have started in some of my previous
Mm-hmm.
projects. It's just that I have not shifted into the Scrum train, the train in Scrum, where
Mm-hmm.
Scrum is used as a management model that I'm using it just for my own personal development and all that. Thanks to the government that's giving a nice subsidy of 95 to 90%. Now it's 90%. Next year will be 80%. But it's a good way to help you because you never know what kind of what kind of leadership that you end up with. As a result of me attending the leadership course and the advanced Scrum Master course, I got books of 20 books to read up. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm now on the third book, third ebook at the moment. So every time you are learning something new. So leadership skills and the capability skill is always to keep learning something new. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I also exploring fingerprint for success. That's another tool I'm
Mm-hmm.
exploring. And yet to
Mm-hmm.
come out with Lego Sales Play equivalent session of it to combine with Clifton. I successfully done it with Clifton. I now try and combine Lego Serious Play with Anagram. It
Mm-hmm.
just need to work. It just I only short of a research paper to validate this.
Mm-hmm.
The problem in Singapore is you don't have a research paper to validate the environment that it can be delivered in and the topic. It doesn't have any sense. Doesn't hold any power. That is in Singapore context. You go to other markets, no issue. But in Singapore specifics, that's the challenges I'm facing now. That everybody need to work within the limits. There are certain topics I don't deliver because I'm still lacking the research paper to deliver it. So that is the thing. You need to be at the top at your research papers that you receive. So usually, traditionally in Q3 and Q4, I usually will attend symposiums from time to time. So the university symposiums, Kaplan will tend to invite me, the people from Kaplan. So I learned about L&D, I learned about how play is involved. I was a speaker there before, so pretty interesting. And you read their journals, how it affected different people in the pandemic. Even recently, I think there are more than 20 papers has came out, or even 30 papers about the pandemic. How people are reacting to different form of evidence or
Mm-hmm.
assessment.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Lego Tuesday no evidence or assessment. For those who are curious, why Lego Tuesday sometimes cannot be in a WSU course? It's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to show skills of assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Evidence of assessments. That's the problem that we are facing. But if we put in correctly and document the evidence in a correct environment, I'm very
Mm-hmm.
sure it's workable. But now now is the technology constraint, now because of the methodology constraint. So we tend to face this common problem as a L&D trainer in the
Mm-hmm.
L&D space. So I will deploy different tools like points of view cards are very good for
Mm-hmm.
virtual coaching, for face-to-face
Mm-hmm.
coffee session. So even on Sunday, I had a good old catch up with a friend. He really left
Mm-hmm.
the movement, the Toastmasters movement, but he's very happy to see me or use my tools. I said, Gerald, is your tool? Yeah, is your photo cards with? Yes, of course. Then then he asked me this question. This is a one-to-one like coffee catch up that we had, and it was pretty interesting. Okay, so then I took out the cards. Okay, I said, you follow the process through. I just guide you accordingly, and
Mm-hmm.
the indicator was true. It validates his indicator. It gave me a confirmation bias. He was indecisive again, so I told him, okay, now the answer is where I can take a photo and keep a record. So that's like,
I'm so impressed with how how much you learn and you continuously learn as well.
Yes, yes, yes. This one because he was facing previously in the in the non-profit movement, he was facing a challenges. I asked him play the coaching the cards, the photo cards, the
Mhm,
therapeutic photo cards. We
mhm,
can try to do a
mhm,
research paper on it. Apparently, time is not on my side. But nevertheless, beyond that, I use that therapeutic photo as a guide to help him.
mhm.
So I know if
Yeah.
something's not right with him. So I decided, okay,
Mhm,
he knows I do Lego most of the time. He knows my branding, but he knows me because of my photo cards, not because of my Lego. It's another tool that I use. And usually
yeah.
these two, I have used it successfully. Therapeutic photos. Sometimes as a leader, you sometimes need
Mhm,
to self-coach yourself. Sometimes you are lost for direction. So what's the next logical solution? You coach yourself. So if my coach is busy, of course, while ice cream session, so I will take my coaching deck again and use it. So it's always at my
yes.
disposal. Yeah, so
Yes.
that's already how that's the common leadership. Because leaders are always very
Mhm,
busy. Even meet your
yeah.
fellow business leaders, sometimes they work very late. The only time you can call them like 11 a.m., 11 p.m. So or even getting out for supper is also very rare. So because some time constraint to work with different persons in different ways. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, forward planning, strategizing, and continuous learning. And obviously, for you to be able to stay relevant and adaptable to any situation, you have to continuously learn, right? And stay to do so, right? And it's good that you've shared like how how much tools you're using, because at the end of the day when you say learning, right, when you use different modalities and when you have that brainstorming, like for me it works well to have like brainstorming or conversation coaching mentorship sessions for me to really think through of some of the things that I'm thinking through, right? And it's really helpful that way, right? And so I actually wanted to ask you for my next question is that like we've talked about continuous learning, leadership, and I wanted to ask from you, what do you believe is the role of learning and leadership in and transformation in order to thrive in the next normal?
Mm. The role of leaders is now to empower teams to work remotely. So
Mm-hmm.
even now today, I'm working with a part timer. She's my designer friend. I have
Mm-hmm.
not fully deployed her yet at the moment. I'm running her to build her skills at the moment
Mm-hmm.
in training sector. So that is one of the skills. That's good. We must trust our manpower in empowering them. The role of leadership and next is learning. Learning will be sorry, the role of learning. I missed the question earlier part of the question. Learning will be now self-directed learning. So Udemy is another platform, Coursera. Recently, I did post about future learn where I learned the social emotional learning because I'm a developer, content
Mm-hmm.
developer for another friend. So and that's my subject area expertise. I have no choice. I can learn a component because when I represent certain companies as a developer, I'm usually work on targeted subjects. So the learning now becomes
Mm-hmm.
very focused learning. So in my case, I also have I will see that learning becomes more of self-directed, small self-coaching, more self-learning, and I will see that even like micro-learning is the next wave. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why my workshops in Singapore, ever since I started in Lego Serious Play, my workshop has never run more than 4 hours maximum in Singapore. Never. Maximum is always a 4 hours workshops. I don't run an 8 hours Lego Serious Play workshop. Very rare. If 8 hours, it means I'm using other tools. Okay. So if people is asking me for 8 hours workshop, chances are I'm adding another
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 other tools into the equation to
Mm-hmm.
how to extend it to 8 hours. So that's the current trend that we are seeing in learning. Learning is now kept to like half day or 2 hours or four
Mm-hmm.
hours. It has been there for a while, but I think because of online environment and the blue eyes on the laptop, I think learning has even shortened down to 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I rarely run the Lego Serious Play strategic planning sessions that comes from the Lego Serious Play method because that one requires a face-to-face contact. So
Mm-hmm.
we are being forced to split into different tools. So the
Mm-hmm.
IKEA Lego is now very suitable for the market now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go online and find the price. It's quite affordable. If you need that for your organization, buy the Lego IKEA bricks. I'll come in and facilitate for you. That is good enough. Okay? You just pay my training fee for that. Okay, and the content
Yeah.
fee. So So that price that will generally bring down the overall costing for like a Lego workshop, thanks to the
Mm-hmm.
collaboration of different companies. Therefore, I see it's an interesting transformation that happened in
Mm-hmm.
January 2021, that Lego
Yes.
has this team up with IKEA to come up with a new set, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a reduce the cost in Asia, right? Where exchange rate can be prohibitive. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
where Marylen's native country, peso, is interestingly challenging to work with in the currency. Personally speaking, because I used to deal in my line of career, I used to deal with 4 or 5 major currencies. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been playing with currencies until today because I'm ordering my parts in, my spare parts in of the Lego. Behind my clothes hanger, there's one set of bricks there, so where I have yet to pack finish. But that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, transformation. I'm transforming myself. I am transforming myself from not a normal supplier of Lego
Mm-hmm.
bricks. I'm supporting my facilitators who need help and whatever thing, and it's all just peer coaching with one another. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
kind of learning that I'm seeing through. So now we have even I till today, since January this year, I have an accountability group that I
Mm-hmm.
must report to. Recently got my
Yeah.
birthday month last month, so things have been delayed a bit. But you get the kind of these good vibes. What
Mm-hmm.
you need to do, what you need to take, they will just give you some magic. You just don't realize it.
Yes. True.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, this and despite of you've mentioned about self learning, self leadership, that will be able to help us be able to transform and thrive in the next normal. You've also mentioned like how important it is to have like accountability partner or coaches or mentors that would help you think through, like from your experience, just because of that conversation you actually came up with answers to your questions that you got stuck with, right? So, and that's the importance or role of being able to always learn, lead, and working on yourself to transform, in order to thrive, right? And so, I just wanted to understand from you for my next, the last two questions I would like to ask from you, right? I just want to know if you have a magic wand that you can use, what will you do with it?
With the magic one, how I wish I have scaled up my company a bit more further. That's the first thing on my mind now. Trying to
Sorry, what did you say?
scale the company, bring up the company bigger, make it
Ah, okay.
yeah, make it like a smaller outfit where I can have
Mhm.
a team of 3 or 4 persons with me. But now it's on partnership arrangement now. Most of my
Mhm.
contacts. So that's the current kind of thing that I'm working on. So
Mhm.
that is my magic one at the moment. Yes,
Okay,
and
I
yeah.
see. And so that leads me to my last question. If you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? Feel free to share with us. Also, if you'd like to share, like, why did you choose this question and why
Mm.
you believe that it's a question that you can best answer.
Yeah, anyway, let me answer one of the comments. I see your comments first. All professional training face to face could not be done to not impactful on transforming and thriving together. Yes, there are certain extents where certain projects, uh, okay, not this one, the next one below. Okay, this question. Okay, there is a problem that we are facing now in training. Face to face couldn't be done. Yes, but you must think of alternative tools that can be still rerun virtually. So even in Lego Serious Play community, we have members who are using other tools, okay, beyond Admit, beyond other software. There are many different software that they come upon that they can do it to have networking, to have team building, to know each other team together. So it has its own natural impact because traditionally Lego Serious Play is a face-to-face method being delivered. Now it has been given some advice to be green light that it can be facilitated in a remote setting. What do I mean by remote? That means certain parts of the workshop must be done remotely before you come into the main session of strategic planning at a common venue. So the warm-up sessions of Lego Serious Play will be done online. So I did a pre-recorded video for some of my customers. I'm in the midst of improving that video at the moment. From there, after you clear the warm-up, you join my session, live session. Yeah, or you join my live face-to-face session. So it's either asynchronous learning or face-to-face learning environment. That's the future I see how Lego Serious Play is going to be affected at the moment. And of course, it will impact the transformation of lives. So thankfully, in my year of being certified as a Lego Serious Play facilitator, I took on points of view coaching cards, points of tools, because I myself I'm a photographer by nature, a hobby photographer till today. So I'm in the midst of working to create my own deck of cards with another friend of mine. So that's the kind of thing. You invent your own tools, you create your own photos, you create your impactful photos that you want to create. So I've been using points of view card in replacement of Lego Serious Play at the moment to solve certain parts where it impact. But there are certain cards doesn't bring up the best impact to certain people. It's just a coaching element or just having a conversation over photos. That's what you call it. And of course the impact might not be as great than the physical team building environment that you get, where I traditionally come from. And the last question, if I were to ask myself a question that you can best answer, of course,
Mhm.
the question would be, hmm, what will I be doing next? What's my next move? Hmm, that has been my biggest question mark. What is my next move? I'm always thinking of my next move. How can I
Okay.
move? Yeah, how can I move it further? What can I do it? Can I change this way? Can I think of another way? Is there any way that I can still maintain my lifestyle? That's the kind of I must think. Is this move worth it? Is this move that there's this coaching question for points of view?
Mhm.
What is it that you need to give it up? Sometimes you need to give up that. Sometimes they ask there is a half you have a half empty cup. This is also a common
Mhm.
question. What's my half empty cup? What's my half full cup? So we have to keep thinking beyond that. What's my full cup that you want to achieve? What's the gap? So there's always that gap that I'm always thinking on my wish list. So because
Mhm.
I realized in this pandemic, I realized even more cracks on myself. I need to take on more services. I'm not offering enough
Mhm.
services. So I need to reinvent again. So it's another crazy transformation window. I don't know how fast I am going to do it, but it takes me a while. Now I'm working on leadership development. That's a new course that I'm working on now. Lego Serious Play, virtually, face to face, points of view card being in the picture. So there's a new
Mhm.
course that I'm coming up with to support people who are keen to develop their leadership, their leaders. I come from a person where I'm a ground up person, so I will do my course in the ground up angle, not from a top down design. So even
Mhm.
my workshops, because I've been in SME for more than for 3 or 4 years of my career, plus my own micro enterprise. So I'll come up from a micro enterprise angle of how I lead in certain things. I'm leading in Singapore for helping facilitators in solving their logistics problem. So Lego Sales Play bricks, if they got any problem, they come find me first. Because I
Mhm.
might have more stock in Singapore.
Yeah.
So for some
Thank
of
you.
you, yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ali. I hope I
So
answered that. Yes, I'm very happy.
yeah.
We got
So
my answer.
yeah. So thank you so much for sharing like your question. And yeah, you're welcome, Ali. Yes, I hope we've answered your question. And again, like same with Gerald, we've been actually like experimenting a lot of things virtually because we understand that trainings and meetings face to face most of the time could not be done during this pandemic. But again, we do have fortunately we do have a lot of tools that we can make use of, right? Like Zoom, emails, Messenger, Microsoft, Google, and a lot of platforms that can be used during this time to stay connected, to have trainings. We've actually like provided several summits, webinars, and other workshops that we have done virtually, including technical niche programs, which we just concluded last in a week or 2 weeks ago. So that's really possible, and it's all about creating solutions for the current problems that you face, and being able to invest in yourself as well to in order to take everything in as an opportunity to transform and thrive together. And like what also like Gerald shared earlier, he's working on partnership collaborations, which is the same way as we do work in CTS. So thank you so much for those who are actually watching us, and for especially Ali, Faruqi, for engaging with us today, and for your amazing question as well. And with that, I really appreciate your sharing. It's very like I would say like from what I got from you, it's very much working on yourself as a continuous learner, and the flexibility that you have to take in order to personalize the programs that you give for your customers as well, right? So thank you so much, Gerald, for your time for this interview, and for those who are watching and will watch us later on the replay. Thank you so much, and we hope you get inspired, and you also got something from this interview, and um, join us in this journey to create opportunities through several interventions and create a better world to be to live in. And remember that even the richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your life. And with that, we would like to leave you with this quote from Dolly Parton, that if your actions create legacy that inspires others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. So thank you so much, everyone. And thank you again, Gerald. And stay safe and see you again. Bye for now.